Hey guys, welcome to another special edition of Young Urban Moms. You have me, Mary Almonte, your host, and you have Crystal with us
Hey guys, how are you?
and Carolina. And
Hi.
we are joined by a very special guest today, someone who I admire so much, and I'm honored to join us, Miss Pat Robinson.
Hi
She
guys.
is the VP of Human Resources and Community Engagement at MediaCo, which you guys may know as the parent company of Hot 97, WBLS, and WLIB here in New York. What? And basically, she's here today to share some tips and, just experiences of what she's seeing as we all are switching to a remote work environment. And for someone like me, I've worked remotely throughout my career, and it hasn't been without its challenges, but this hasn't been such an adjustment for me. But I know like the world is freaking out. There's so many industries where people aren't used to this. I'm sure broadcast is definitely kind of interesting and different now that a lot of like talent probably is even remote. But I mean, I feel like there's so much to be learned right now with this opportunity where people who are finding themselves working from home that never used to. So what advice do you have for yums who are trying to balance working from home while homeschooling, which is also a new thing that we're all struggling with,
Yeah.
and dealing with their daily responsibilities, whether it's with significant others and all of that good stuff while quarantined?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on the show. And this has been probably one of the most dynamic, complex kind of learning experiences that I've experienced as a professional. Media broadcast is 24/7, so we do know how to operate around the clock. But in a time like this where we're all being asked to work remotely, this presents a different level of engagement. Fortunately, technology has allowed for our on-air personalities to have what they call Comrex equipment where they can work from home and remote in, but it also still requires some manual people to be at the station. So we are operating within state compliance to make sure that we are giving information and staying relevant and staying live. That's the most important part. But as an HR professional, a person who primarily would do face-to-face engagement, I'm yielding in a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries, trying to keep the morale up and together for the company. So it's, to me, I thought that working remotely in my head would be actually better and more resting, and I would be able to do things at home and tap in, but it's actually probably a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be, because working remotely, if you're doing it correctly, you're actually working between your normal work hours, whether it's 8:30 to 5:30, 9 to 5. And what I've experienced is that I'm spending more time in front of the laptop, but it's productive time than I probably would in the actual office. The second part of that, as being a mother, in the house, you're actually managing a little bit more. Mothers are being asked to now become teachers, right? So some parents are more involved in the schoolwork, and some parents just don't have that experience. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad moms. It's just a whole shift of the model. I'm very fortunate that I am a professor. I do teach at Westchester Community College. So in tandem with my normal job on the weekends, now I'm being asked to shift the rest of the semester with my college students online. And that's super challenging. Guess why? Because what I teach is speech and communication. So that's a very in the face kind of dynamic, I have to be in front of you model. So I have been racking my brains on trying to figure out, number one, how not to lose my audience, which are my students, which they actually appreciated the in-person interaction, to shifting them to a model where I can stay engaged. So it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of resilience for you as the person that's the leader to not give up in this process. And I think it gives you an opportunity to learn as well. I mean, I'm challenging myself in this process to be as leader full, that's not even a word, but just to really take on my maximum leadership skills in every area possible.
Yeah. So how do you organize your workload and then find time, of course, to homeschool your children? Is it a strict schedule? How do we not let life get in between? What do we need to start to do now to be productive?
Yeah. So one of the things that I do, and my kids are grown, but they do live with me. So I do have a 30-year-old daughter who is a single mom who has an 8-year-old, my grandson, who is in the house. So she fortunately is in the academic arena, but I still oversee it. So my suggestion in professional life, whether it's children or whatever, you do have to manage a calendar. I mean, that sounds very cliche, but if you are very good with time management, or if you're not good with time management, this is an absolute great opportunity to start and really plot out hours in your day and what you're going to dedicate your time to. Clearly, working from home, working remotely, and dealing with children and house duties and things like that, you do need to have some reasonable breaks, right? You do need to take some time for yourself to kind of gather your thoughts and organize. But I would suggest it's simple as using your calendar, getting a 5 subject notebook or a writing pad, and writing down the things that you need to accomplish on a daily basis, and making sure that you accomplish those things. And people don't think those things are effective, but they really, really are effective. So I would definitely do that. And I would definitely try to stick close to the calendar. So if you're going to be, answering emails between 9 and 10, any outstanding emails, just make sure that you're really doing that and try to stay as close as possible to your own schedule.
Yeah, personal accountability now is going to be taken to new heights. Like it wasn't like it was different before when we were able to say, okay, we could do it later. But if we don't start checking things off, now balancing everything, we are wearing more hats. And we were complaining before, Mary, that we had so many things to do. Mm-hmm. Imagine now. So yeah, personal accountability is different now.
And I would even add that, in this process of being even closer to your family, it could potentially put you even more distant.
Yes, great point.
Right? And I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, because you're so focused on what you're trying to accomplish that you really don't have as much, healthy, intimate time to spend closely with family members. And they could potentially see that as, wow, this is even worse than what I thought it would be. But your job in this is to make sure that you are not being made to feel guilty, because you have a job to do. You are the person that has to keep things on track for yourself, for your own personal and professional mentality. The worst thing, what I've experienced over the first few days is a sense of unorganized thoughts. So I would go to bed trying to keep it regular and wake up in the middle of the night trying to do work. And I'm like, no, Pat, you got to get it together. You got to organize your thoughts. Treat it as a normal day. There are going to be areas where you do have to do more, and then you're going to have to take reasonable breaks and then get back to it. And then if any family members come in with any kind of, sense of guilt or just craziness or acting funny, you have to really manage that in a way that it doesn't offend them, but it allows you to get back to what is important to you. Because as we see this is temporary, but this could potentially be a new shift in the workforce and how we do things. But the most important thing is also just in this is that you're not allowing yourself to take advantage of your own time, because you could be guilty of that. Like, I turn the TV off, I'm not overeating, I'm drinking all the water, I'm doing the things that I need to do to keep myself healthy in this process.
Preach. I have to say that all of that has kind of gone to the wind last week, but I definitely plan on taking some of these tips and implementing them this week. We're going to say we had an off week last week, because I've definitely not been drinking the water, been eating every 5 seconds.
Yeah, same.
It's just been a hot mess.
Yeah.
And then in regard to the family, part of it, with us all being cooped up in here, there's definitely moments where I'm like, throw the whole family away. Yep. But one thing that I'm hoping will come out of this is that the kids will get some kind of appreciation for seeing myself and my husband like working. I mean, like even right now, like I kind of had to kick everybody out of the common space for me to like have the quiet time to record here. But, my son and my daughter kind of keep peeking down, and they see like that, this is working. Like, this is me creating content, doing what I do. And, hopefully they get some kind of sense of dedication or,
Yeah.
or, work ethic out of it, at least.
Yeah, and I would suggest this too, and it's kind of a little bit hard, but it's a good opportunity for you to take a portion of your day where if you have your laptop or your computer, and if your child has a laptop or iPad, and set up shop so that the child is working next to you. So you guys are kind of creating your own in-house WeWork space, right? So then they're saying, oh, well, mommy is working and I'm working too. And so you're kind of creating some discipline around them. They are appreciating what you're doing. You're appreciating what they're doing. It's some bonding time. It's also creating a discipline on work time. So my daughter actually every day, and I stay out of it. I go upstairs. She creates reading time, TV's off. She creates game board time because there has to be some reprieve for the kids. They create cooking time. This is also an opportunity to teach your kids how to cook, teach your kids how to clean, teach your kids about money. Small things that you do not have the time to do on a daily basis is like really the economics of teaching your children how to do something. And in that, you could also possibly create like a little series with your kid, like allow them to do a video and say, hey, what did you learn today that you want to share with your friends? And do a video series where the kids are actually doing something productive. So that's some digital technology. Right. And then I also think it's really important, which I see my grandson doing, is he has like his own little Zoom chat going on with his friends, because you also have to realize they're pulled away from their friends and their environment too. So we have to give some credence to that as well.
Yeah. So to add to that, can you go into digital citizenship to really talk about, how we can teach our children to be responsible online when you and I are like right now, we're away from them and we're working and they're alone with their iPads, how to be responsible with other children when they're doing the Snapchats and everything like that. How can we have that conversation where they'll understand and we not sound like we're just disciplining,
Yeah. So I think two things is that children have too much access, right? We give it freely, and oftentimes we give it because we're busy. So take the iPad, go sit down and be quiet. Let me do what I got to do. But this is a good time to actually allow them to earn the access to the iPad, earn the access to the computer. And then you're going to have a conversation and say, hey, between these hours, I'm going to allow you to, mommy's home now. So we're going to scale back. I'm going to allow you to do this. I trust you. Here's the things that you can do. Here's the things that you cannot do. If you break these rules, the access is going to go away, because part of this is really helping our children to understand some of the disciplines that we had as kids. I mean, when we were kids, and this, I'm dating myself, but I am 50 years old and I'm so proud of it because I feel great.
But when
you look great. You do not look good.
We would never know.
Playing outside was like, that was the technology. Playing outside, jumping rope. We used to jump rope with the telephone man used to, this is way back when, the telephone company used to come around and put wire up, and we used to beg the telephone man, hey, can you give us some extra wire? We used to jump rope. We had to earn things, right? In this day and age, we give things. We give it for two reasons. We want to make them happy. We want them to feel like they're part of something. And then thirdly, and probably more importantly, heavily weighted, is because we're busy. And we need them to be busy while we're busy. We need not to be distracted. But this is a good time for us to set some discipline. So I would say you have to earn this. What did you do this morning? Did you clean your bed? I'm going to teach you how to clean the sink. I'm going to teach you how to recycle bottles. I'm going to teach you how to fold laundry. Basics. Because in reality, we want our children to grow up to learn a few things, not to be dependent on other people, right? Know how to take care of themselves, and have some of the ground rules that we are not able to do because we're working so much all the time. So this is a complete slow down period for us to really take advantage of, not just for digital, but just for basic economic principles in the house.
And you mentioned, that slowing down kind of really eases into, and I'm sorry, my son is in the background playing with his own action figures. But just kind of the concept of being productive, right? I was seeing on Twitter how some council members or like elected officials are even suggesting like, hey, maybe we should just start doing 4-day work weeks. Like, this is really reframing our concept of what it is to be productive. Can you kind of give us an idea of how we can be productive now, as we're kind of going through this transition of just kind of trying to figure out where we're going to be when
Yeah.
this all kind of ends.
Yeah. And so for me, a person that loves to be busy, like I have so many things going on. And for me, being unproductive is like the death of a salesman, right? It just eats my spirit. So what I decided to do, I'll give you a perfect example. Since I am teaching at college and I can't get in front of people, I say I have a skill that I know people are interested in learning. At this time, the economy is going down. People are losing their jobs. They're losing hope. They're inside. So what can I do to contribute? And this kind of borders on a community perspective also, to give back to my community. So what I've done is I'm a part of like these big groups on Facebook that have 2,000-3,000 people. And I said, hey, to the administrator of the group, I would love to give a free conference call on how to do basic public speaking. Can you throw it out there and see if people are interested? And she threw it out there and she set it up as a free event. And I did the first one on Friday. And I think I probably had about 50 people or so. I had 100 and something people or so that were interested. But because of the time, only 50 dialed in. And then there was so much feedback, so much learnings. And I'm asked to do it again. So I'm doing it again today at 4:00. And we're using a free conference call dial-in. I'm the host. It's free. It's something that I would normally charge for as a speaking panel kind of thing. But in this time, what can I do of myself to share with people? It keeps me productive. It allows me to exercise my voice. It gives to the people. It aligns me now as a key player. So when business does rebound and people and businesses are looking for opportunities and speakers, they can say, hey, I remember that lady that did that free conference call and gave us all of this useful information. So it's things like that. What you all are doing here is so groundbreaking. To me, my idea to you would be to create a Zoom chat. Don't wait to do the big reveal. Reveal now. Reveal little snippets and invite people in to watch the Zoom, a little Zoom conference call, and say, guys, we just want to kind of let you know this is coming your way. And then you pique the interest. We see what D Nice did yesterday. He did a quarantine party that reached over 100,000 people and has gotten global coverage from everyone in the house. Like everyone wants to be a part of it. So now what we're seeing is other DJs are now in their basements and they're doing things. So you have to be creative and don't hold on to your idea for too long, because it could really be benefiting someone right now.
Thank you for that. Yes, we just got to launch. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
We've been going back and forth, and maybe you're right.
They said there's a quick term that I use, JDI. Just do it. Just JDI. Is it a JDI? Yes. So get it done.
We're going to start using that for real. And also we'd love to promote, whatever you're doing in the future, like these, these like public speaking classes. We'll definitely get our young audience there. I mean, who can benefit more from that than youngs, awesome. Right? So you had mentioned before something that really touched my heart, because people make fun of me because I guess technically I'm a millennial, but I'm so old school in that I still use pen and paper. I literally have an old school book that I have my to-do list from every day, and nothing gives me more pleasure than crossing something off of the to-do list. So, but with that said, I'm sure there's lots of like apps and tools and what have you out there that kind of help you be more productive, or that can help people working from home or remotely, like Team Build. I know we use Slack. Is there anything else that like you use or recommend that helps get you on track and working with the team?
Yeah, so I'm very super basic. I would rather pick up the phone and have a phone call and do a call, because I think a lot of miscommunications, and you get to you miss the tone of a conversation, you miss the intent of conversations when you don't hear from people and you don't see them. So Slack is an amazing tool. Zoom is an amazing tool. Colleges have something called Blackboard Collaborate, which is similar to Zoom, is an amazing tool. Free conference call is an amazing tool. But pen and paper, I mean, there's just nothing like it, right? There's just, because this age that we live in, we're carrying all the thoughts and we're thinking we're invincible, but God forbid, and this is just a thought, God forbid if you're the primary person that handles all the business in your house, and everything is in here, and everything is in here. And you need to have contingency information, bank account information, debit card numbers, how to get to mommy's bank account, how to transfer money. If you're sick and it's in here with a passcode or a thumb code, how does your family benefit? What are you doing? So this is the opportunity, right? We're at home. Not only should you be writing down things that you organize, but you should take an hour in your day and say, you know what, let me just put a list together of bank account information, how to access mommy's bank account and keep it in a certain place. There's all of these opportunities. No one is superhuman that everything can reside in the head. As you get older, things are going to leave like that. Things are coming at you all different kinds of times and ways. You're managing kids, men, jobs, you're trying to stay fabulous, weight, all of these things. So you're not superhuman, and it's okay to revert to the basics.
Well, it definitely feels like the universe is kind of forcing us to get back to the basics right now. Like we're all having a seat. But I'm not mad at it. I mean, I'm mad at it in certain ways.
And
but
you know what? I also think, just from a woman's perspective, it's time for us to rest, take care of our skin, take care of our vitamin intake, bathe, take nice hot baths, take care of ourselves.
Preach.
Thrust right back out there in the community and just be ripping and running. And then the only time we're taking care of ourselves is when we're like on the last shred and we're sick and we're trying to get back up just to run again. Take some time at a certain time at night. Like what I'm starting to do as of last night, I could stay on social media perusing all day long, laughing at memes, engaging, but then I put the phone down because now I have to tap into my own mental health. I have to say, you know what? Let me rest. Let me look at some TV. Let me get in some different perspectives. Let me just take a break. And that's not bad. And then when I get up, I'm refreshed, and I'm listening to the compliancy of what they're telling us. Don't go outside, even if it's a nice day, or don't go in big settings. I really want to feel well, because if you feel well from within, this is going to operate well. And once this operates well, you're able to help others and you're able to platform and do all of these great things that you're trying to do. But if you're moving at a 25% capacity, trying to do all of these things, and you don't even have a good structured list, you don't have discipline, your calendars are off, the kids is going crazy, everybody got an attitude, ain't no food cooked, the laundry's not done. Yeah.
Amen to that.
So it's okay for me time. You're saying that come 10 o'clock, we can shut everything off.
We're getting permission from you.
Yums.
Morning, I got up. I got my new hair on. I went to face. I put my lashes on, and I just wanted to be fabulous for no reason for 25 minutes, and I allowed myself that. And that's how I'm going to move in this house for today. I allow myself time for me, because if I don't have time for me, then I can't do anything else I'm not going to walk around just miserable serving everyone. It has to be, I have to take care of me. I have to feel good about me, because if I have the best of me, if I've taken care of me, you're going to get the best version of what I have to give for you. So absolutely.
And once a mom gets sick, or, then the house shuts down. So it's okay not to feel guilty. And we have to stress that, like, listen, if you don't let me do this, you're not going to eat. Well, you will, but you know what I mean? Like, things will be at a pause.
Right. And that's a good statement that you made, because you should also get to a point where there's no battling. Like, you shouldn't have to tell people, if you don't let me do this.
Right.
You get your environment into a space where it's like, hey, have a seat, sit down, and we're going to get back to this. Like, you're the commanding officer in a nice way. Mm-hmm. At this time, we're going to do this, and you're going to allow mommy this. I got it so that my grandson, he's 8 years old. He's an amazing kid. But when the door is closed, don't open it. When you see my door closed, don't open it, because I'm busy right now. I'm doing something on the thing. Or if you see me and you're bringing the dogs, I give a look that says, hold up, don't do it. Because then you're infringing on my space. So I'm teaching him discipline in that moment also.
I mean, I feel like these are just great words to live by, not just for coping with this pandemic, but just in general. So thank you for that.
More lax as parents. And I think that not whip, but those old school values are so important. And, this is a great time to start enforcing them.
Oh, yeah. And in between this, as I said, and sometimes it depends if you're in a relationship or if you live with a man or whatever, you don't have to be monopolized by anyone's time. Like, your time is your time. You can be with someone in a relationship and you guys can be in sync, but you can be independent within the relationship. That is so crucial. That is so important, because let me tell you, the way that I am, if anyone suppresses me or smothers me, you are killing the very spirit of me. And I cannot function that way. I have to function as Patricia Robinson, the independent spirit that needs to live and breathe and do the things that she needs to do and the things that make me happy first. And then I'm better able to serve you in this space. And there are restrictions on how much I can do. And so if some of the things that you're asking me for are unreasonable, I'm going to be truthful about that and say, hey, guess what? I can't meet that expectation. Or you may be asking too much of me. And I'm going to be honest with you. You may have to go somewhere else because I can't, that's just not what I'm cut out to do. And that's real. And that's how I keep my sanity. And you know what? And that's okay. Part of this as a woman, as growing up as a woman and raising kids is being truthful to who you are. And when we start lying to ourselves or trying to be too many things to too many people and you're not being true to yourself, I'm on girl chat. I have girl chats with my girlfriends. We do all kinds of crazy stuff. We laugh, we joke, we do everything. I take time for me, but then when it's time for me to be professional and get to business, I'm down to it and it gets done.
Thank you for that.
So speaking of expectations, are you finding that department heads are sort of altering their expectations of what will get done, considering that we're in uncharted territories right now and everyone's adjusting to working remotely and not having access to whatever they'd have access to in the office? Or just, I feel like some people probably also are just freaked out and not okay right now. Like, is that something that's coming up? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think two things is that I'm very fortunate that our leadership team, we talk every single day as a group on Zoom. And we talk about things that are rising in this current ever-changing environment. Everyone's expectations are realistic, and we are in a space where we can be honest with each other. So if we feel like something is off course, we talk about it and we're able to get past it together. But for the most part, we're in tandem with the fact that we are the leadership team. We are the ones that are driving the business. So we have to be empathetic. I mean, we have to appreciate our workforce. And here's the thing, there are going to be people who are freaking out. There are people who are freaking out now. And sometimes I freak out. Like the first day when we had to stay home, I had a complete anxiety attack at home. And I'm like, what is going on? I, for some reason, listened to the news too much and in my mind created this sickness that I was going to run out of food. The day before, I had just went and spent $200 in food. But the next day when I watched the news, I said, oh my God, we're going to be shut in for months. I'm not going to have food. I ran back out again, had this complete anxiety attack, spent another $200, which is probably not necessary and not budgeted for sure. But I had like an anxiety attack and I was calling people. It was 6:30 in the morning. I'm at Stop and Shop and I couldn't get my husband. He was underground at work and I was just having this complete anxiety attack. And then finally I was able to bring myself down. So that is realistic. I would venture to say there are many resources that companies, if you're eligible and you have benefits, they have health lines available. There's a lot of resources. PsychologyToday.com is one that I would recommend where you're able to tap into health professionals within your zip code. So yeah, that's realistic.
Yeah. I mean, I have moments depending on what time of day it is. Like some days I was just saying, like, I feel like, okay, we're going to pretend like it's just a regular like weekend day where everyone's home. And then there are other days where it's like, this feels like we're in the beginning of a long winding road and we don't know when it's ending. So I have to talk myself off the ledge a few times, but I do think that kind of like what you just said, it's really important to be real and communicate how you're feeling. And I think everyone should be, receptive and understanding to the fact that we're going to go through emotions right now that will impact our output. But yeah, I mean, I guess as long as we are all in it together and are acknowledging that, then we will get through this together.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday I went out and surprisingly we usually take this hiking route and I kid you not, there were like dozens of people and I'm like, what on earth are we all doing out at the same time together, huddled? So I was literally yelling at people like social distancing and like making sure no one got close to me, even though my husband was like, you look like a nutcase. And I'm like, well, you've known me for 20 years by now. So if I need to protect myself and make sure that no one gets close to me. But I feel like right now there's like this anxiety. I mean, of course there's anxiety, but also a lot of people aren't quite like getting what is going on. And I think an adjustment period and things like that are pretty much happening. But just kind of going back to, you mentioned the whole mental piece of it, and being mental, like mental health and productivity. Sorry?
Her son was running past. I said, "That's normal. Let it live."
Oh, I know.
Let's let it live. That's what it's about.
It's about to say, boy, if you don't get yourself.
I kind of wanted to go back to the whole, just, yeah, because I was going for a walk, but I was very anxious while doing it. But just kind of the whole, just what kind of tips throughout the day, you mentioned you had anxiety and you went back, but like, do you have any, in the morning when you wake up, just maybe take a few minutes,
Yeah.
like even things that you would normally do?
Yeah. So there's a lot of apps that are available. There's one that I love. It's called Calm, CALM.com, which is a meditation app. And part of this too is, again, getting away from being so dependent upon technology. Sometimes in the morning time, I'll just turn everything off in my room and I sit down. There's nobody in it but myself, and just sit quietly so you can think, and kind of just self-meditate for 10 minutes. You get up, you take your time before you run to an email or run to answer a phone. Take a few minutes to do some self-care, spend some time foaming your face and doing things and having breakfast at the table versus having breakfast on the go on the way to your mobile office or whatever that is. And before you even dive into work, maybe you set some time before you get to the computer to just relax a little bit, and maybe it's not tuning. Obviously, we want to stay in contact with what's going on in the news, but taking that on first thing in the morning can drive anxiety completely all the way up. And maybe it's just checking on a loved one or just taking a passage out of something and reading it. But it really is kind of zooming into your self energy first before you take on the world's energy, right? Because, things are happening. I mean, people are not only having anxiety about the health, they're having anxiety about the economy and the impacts, and people are losing their jobs and trying to understand information. And it's a lot to take on at one time.
Right. And to add to that, now that a lot of us are working from home and those who are being paid through their employers, and considering your high position, right? How can we talk to our bosses in a polite way where we say, because they're going to probably want us to be available all the time. So they're like, you're home. Why can't you answer this email? How do we tell them these are our working hours? Is that something is that being rude, or is this do we have to be clear and draw that line? Because they're going to probably expect so much more from us because we are home and they know we're not doing anything else, and we have access to computers. How can we politely say, I need my space?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to correct you because you said we're at home and we're not doing nothing. You're always doing something. When you're at home, you have a complete environment there. So you're never not idle, and you are not at the complete dispense of a company for all of your hours of the day.
Thank you.
You are just not, right? And so that is not something that should be expected, that you are available from 8 a.m. to midnight at night. That is uncalled for. And so that it is okay for you to set boundaries and say, hey, generally, if I was in the office, I would be working from 9 to 5, and those are my working hours. Those are the hours that I'm going to be fully engaged and available. If, for example, an emergency comes up and you need to contact me, you can feel free to contact me. But anything outside of the 9 to 5, I really can't commit to, because for my personal well-being and the well-being of my family at this time, I have to give due time to my household. And you don't even have to even go that far to explain it. But, if you just want to be nice about it, that's what it is, right? And you don't have to say, oh, I have to go and take care of my mother. You don't have to explain any of that. Your working hours are your working hours. Our company is very respectful. And so we work really, when we say we were working remotely, we work remotely from my hours at 8:30 to 5:30, and I am on the gun, and, any little things I can get done in between, I'm there, but I really try not to miss a beat. And our COO is so respectful of that. On Friday, he says, okay, we're breaking. You guys have a nice weekend. He won't email. He won't do anything. as executive leadership, though, if things come up as executive leadership, we jump in, even if it's the weekend, but there's no expectation if a person doesn't answer, particularly at this crisis time. But as a worker, there should be some boundaries, and you should be okay with having that conversation, and you should not be punished for having that conversation.
Thank you for that, because I know a lot of yums out there who, feel obligated now, maybe more than ever, to be on call, because there's a lot of us who are not getting paid, but those who are, they're like, oh my God, this might be an obligation now, and let me, dedicate more time. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I know that we've kept you for longer than we had planned.
Great.
I'm like, speaking of routines and boundaries, you're about to tell us that our time is up.
That's okay. This is great. I'm so happy that you guys are doing this. This is super exciting. Thank you so much for having me on. And hopefully some of the tips that I've been able to share with you are useful for you and for the audience. And I really look forward to the big launch. But in the meantime, share this with the audience, because there are a lot of people that are just really looking for information, and you guys have an amazing platform here.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're honored to have you. And once this is all over, we definitely need to have you back in the studio. Absolutely. You are an OG yum, in our opinion.
Yes.
I mean,
I took so many notes.
Yeah, part of what I gravitated to you upon meeting you was, you had shared that you were also a young mother and then a grandmother, and just your whole story is just truly inspirational. Thank you. How you went back as a mom and finished your education, and just your whole come up is just, you are goals. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was so nice meeting you, and I look forward to meeting you guys in person.
Yes.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.